Welcome to Glisso English. Real life stories.
Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, we listen to real-life stories to help you improve your English listening skills, pick up natural idioms, and understand how people handle everyday challenges. Today's story hits close to home for a lot of people. It's about a situation we've probably all faced at least once: going out to a restaurant with a group of friends, ordering something small because you're on a tight budget, and then hearing those dreaded words at the end of the night. Let's just split the bill evenly. We're going to follow a story about navigating awkward social situations, speaking up for yourself, and dealing with financial peer pressure. Listen closely to how the characters react, pay attention to the natural vocabulary they use, and stick around until the end to see how this awkward dinner dynamic gets resolved. Let's jump right into Chapter 1. Maya stared at the menu, her stomach doing an anxious flip. The prices at Bistro 21 were staggering. A simple pasta dish cost $25, and the entrees went up from there. Maya checked her banking app under the table. Her balance was exactly $32. That had to last her until Friday. "Everything looks amazing," Chloe said, closing her menu with a satisfied smile. "I think I'm going to get the ribeye steak in a glass and a Cabernet." "Oh, definitely," Leo chimed in, "and we have to get the truffle fries for the table." The waiter arrived, his pen poised. When it was Maya's turn, she swallowed hard. "Just a side salad with vinaigrette on the side, please, and just tap water for me." Chloe frowned slightly. "Are you sure, Maya? That's all you're getting? You have to try the steak." "Oh, I had a really late lunch," Maya lied, offering a tight smile. "I'm not that hungry." For the next hour, Maya chewed her lettuce slowly while the others enjoyed their heavy meals and ordered a second round of drinks. She tried to focus on the conversation, but her mind kept calculating the cost of their orders. Then came the moment she dreaded most. The waiter placed the black letter folder in the center of the table. Before anyone could even open it, Leo pulled out his credit card and tossed it down. "Let's just split it evenly to keep things simple. It's way easier than doing the math." Maya felt her throat tighten. Split it evenly? Her salad was $8. With tax, $32 wouldn't even cover her share of their massive bill. The ride home was a blur of silence and panic. Maya sat in the dark interior of the rideshare car, staring blankly out the window at the passing streetlights. She had managed to get through the payment moment by sliding her card into the pile, but the damage was done. Her banking app now showed a negative balance. She had used her overdraft protection just to pay for food she didn't even eat. By midnight, Maya was tossing and turning in bed, completely unable to sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, the image of that black leather folder appeared in her mind. She felt a hot flash of resentment chewing over the entire evening. It wasn't fair that Chloe and Leo got to enjoy premium steaks and expensive cocktails while she paid for them. They were her closest friends, yet they seemed completely blind to her reality. She hated feeling like the poor friend of the group. The shame was a heavy weight pressing down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. Should she have spoken up right there at the table? The thought of causing a scene and parsing through individual pennies in front of the waiter made her stomach churn. She didn't want them to look at her with pity, or worse, stop inviting her out altogether. So instead, she lay awake, bottling up her frustration and losing sleep over a problem her friends didn't even know existed. Tomorrow, the group chat would inevitably start planning the next hangout, and Maya was completely out of money. Maya's phone buzzed loudly on her nightstand early the next morning. She reached for it with a heavy heart, already knowing what it was. The group chat notification lit up the screen with a message from Chloe. "Brunch this Sunday at that new rooftop place downtown? They have bottomless mimosas." Leo replied almost instantly with an enthusiastic thumbs-up emoji. Maya felt a familiar wave of panic hit her chest as she stared at the screen. Her bank account was still in the negative, and Sunday was only 2 days away. She couldn't afford a $20 avocado toast, let alone bottomless drinks. Maya sat on the edge of her bed, frantically trying to draft a believable excuse. Should she say she was feeling sick? Or maybe that she had to work over the weekend? Every excuse she typed out felt fake and obvious. If she kept turning them down, they would eventually stop asking her to hang out. She was trapped in a cycle of financial stress and serious FOMO. The fear of missing out on her friends' lives was starting to feel just as bad as being broke. As the chat continued to ping with excitement and outfit coordination, Maya's anxiety grew. She couldn't bring herself to type the words, "I can't afford it." Instead, she just locked her phone and stared at the ceiling, trying to figure out how to survive another weekend without disappearing from her friend group completely. By Saturday night, Maya realized she couldn't avoid her friends any longer. She had finally replied to the group chat with a vague, "Can't wait to see you guys." But this time, she had a secret strategy to protect her empty wallet. 2 hours before brunch, Maya stood in her kitchen and ate a massive bowl of oatmeal and 2 boiled eggs. She stuffed herself until she was completely full, determined not to buy an actual meal at the restaurant. When she arrived at the trendy rooftop cafe, the atmosphere was loud and beautiful. Chloe and Leo were already scanning the menu, laughing about the night before. When the waitress came to take their orders, Leo ordered the expensive Eggs Benedict, and Chloe went with the French toast and a cocktail. Maya took a deep breath and gave her practiced response. "Just an iced Americano for me, please." Chloe stopped reading her menu and looked up, frowning slightly. "Are you on a diet or something, Maya? You barely ate anything at dinner on Thursday, and now just coffee for brunch?" Maya felt a hot blush creep up her neck as Leo stared at her too. She hated beating around the bush, but she wasn't ready for the truth. "Oh, no, not at all," Maya lied quickly, forcing a laugh. "My stomach has just been feeling a little upset today, so I'm keeping it light." Chloe sighed and shook her head. "Well, you're missing out. Their food is incredible." Maya sipped her black coffee, feeling the heavy lump of oatmeal in her stomach and an even heavier knot of anxiety in her heart. The weeks flew by, and Maya managed to survive on excuses and black coffee, but her luck finally ran out in June. It was Chloe's birthday, and the group chat announced a celebration at an upscale seafood grill by the harbor. Maya knew she couldn't skip her best friend's birthday, but her finances were still in a delicate state. Before they even sat down at the long candle-lit table, Maya decided to be proactive. She caught Chloe's eye and spoke up clearly. "Hey guys, just a heads up, I'm on a really strict budget this month, so I'm going to order separately." Chloe waved her hand dismissively, distracted by the birthday balloons. "Oh, don't worry about it tonight, Maya. Let's just have fun." Maya ordered a cup of clam chowder and tap water, keeping her total under $15. Meanwhile, the rest of the table ordered oysters, lobster rolls, and several bottles of expensive wine. When the bill arrived, the total was a shocking $400. Leo took the receipt, did some quick mental math, and looked around the table. "All right, it's Chloe's birthday, so we are covering her share. That makes it exactly $80 each for the rest of us." Maya felt all the air leave her lungs as Leo passed the credit card machine toward her. $80 for a single cup of soup. She looked at her friends, who were already pulling out their cards without a second thought. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. Maya pushed the card machine away, her hands shaking slightly, but her voice firm. "No, Leo, I can't do that tonight. The restaurant table went completely silent. Chloe stopped laughing and Leo froze with his credit card halfway out of his wallet. Maya's heart was hammering against her ribs, but she didn't look down. "What do you mean, Maya?" Leo asked, his voice sounding more confused than angry. "It's just easier to split it evenly, and it's Chloe's birthday." "I know it's her birthday, and I want to celebrate her," Maya said, her voice shaking slightly but gaining strength. "But my soup was $15. I explicitly said before we sat down that I am on a strict budget right now. I literally do not have $80 to spend on a dinner tonight." Chloe looked shocked, a deep flush spreading across her cheeks. The awkwardness in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. After a tense moment, Leo quickly grabbed the bill folder. "Oh, okay. Let me just calculate your exact total then." The rest of the dinner was a blur of uncomfortable silence and forced small talk. As they left the restaurant, Maya pulled Chloe aside near the valet parking. "Chloe, I'm sorry if I ruined the mood," Maya began, her throat tight with vulnerability. "I've been struggling financially for months, and splitting these massive bills is ruining me." Chloe crossed her arms, looking defensive. "You should have just told me privately, Maya. It felt like you were making a scene on my birthday over a few bucks." Maya shook her head softly, realizing how blind her friend really was. "It's not just a few bucks to me, Chloe. I need you to put yourself in my shoes for just 1 second. The days following the birthday dinner were incredibly quiet. The group chat, which usually buzzed with dozens of messages every day, went completely dead. Maya felt a lingering sense of guilt, but she also felt a strange kind of relief because she had finally spoken her truth. When Leo finally texted the group a few days later, the dynamic had clearly shifted. He suggested grabbing burgers, but added a clumsy note at the end, "And we will definitely get separate checks this time." Maya appreciated the effort, but when they actually met up on Friday, the atmosphere was completely different. Every time the topic of money, shopping, or vacations came up, her friends would suddenly freeze and change the subject. Chloe was overly polite, constantly asking Maya if she was doing okay or if she needed him to buy her coffee. It didn't feel like genuine kindness. It felt like pity. Maya realized her friends were now walking on eggshells around her, terrified of saying the wrong thing. By trying to avoid the conflict, they were making her feel even more isolated than before. She was no longer just Maya, she was now the broke friend who needed to be handled with care. The shared laughter and easy conversations from the past were replaced by a tense, uncomfortable caution. Maya sat at the burger joint, realizing that clearing the air was only the first step. Now she had to fix the broken dynamic before the awkwardness destroyed her friendships. Maya decided she couldn't let the awkwardness win. Instead of waiting for her friends to invite her to another pricey spot, she took control of the social calendar. On Sunday morning, she posted a colorful flyer in the group chat. "Potluck picnic at the park this Saturday. Bring your favorite snack and a blanket." Chloe was the first to reply with a cautious, "Are you sure? We can just go to a cafe if it's easier." "I'm positive," Maya replied immediately. "The weather is going to be gorgeous, and it's totally free." When Saturday arrived, the tension melted away under the warm sunshine. Leo brought a bag of chips and homemade guacamole, while Chloe showed up with a box of cheap cookies and a big smile. Maya had prepared a large pitcher of iced tea and some simple sandwiches from home. As they sat on the grass, eating and laughing without a menu or a waiter in sight, Maya realized something important. They didn't need a fancy restaurant or a $40 entree to have a good time. Hosting this picnic proved that she could still have a rich social life on a string-shoot budget. Best of all, she got her real friends back, completely free of charge. A few months passed, and Maya's financial situation finally began to change for the better. Through a connection at the park picnic, she landed a consistent freelance graphic design gig that eased her daily money stress. She was finally able to pay off her credit card debt and put a little bit of money into her savings account each week. It felt amazing to open her banking app without that familiar wave of stomach-turning panic. However, the emotional lessons of the past few months stayed with her. Even though she had more breathing room in her budget, she promised herself she would never forget how it felt to be the one ordering water and a side salad. She had turned over a new leaf financially, but her perspective on money and social pressure had permanently shifted. She realized that financial struggles can happen to anyone, and hiding them only breeds resentment. Maya felt proud of herself for surviving the lean times without sacrificing her self-respect or her friendships. She was finally back on her feet, but she was determined to use her new financial stability to create a more inclusive environment for everyone in her life. The summer air was warm as the group gathered at a new Italian restaurant downtown to celebrate Maya's new freelance job. The table was filled with the delicious aroma of fresh garlic, wood-fired pizza, and rich marinara sauce. This time, Maya didn't look at the menu with fear, and she didn't check her bank account under the table. She ordered a delicious plate of mushroom ravioli and a glass of white wine, feeling truly relaxed for the first time in months. When the meal ended, the waiter walked over and placed the familiar black leather folder in the middle of the table. Maya felt a tiny, brief echo of her old anxiety, but before she could even reach for her wallet, Chloe spoke up first. "Excuse me, sir," Chloe said to the waiter with a warm smile. "Could you please calculate separate checks for us tonight? We'd like to pay for exactly what we ordered." Leo nodded in total agreement, already pulling out his card to pay for his own steak. Maya looked at Chloe, and a wave of pure gratitude washed over her. Speaking her truth at that birthday dinner had been incredibly painful, but it turned out to be a total blessing in disguise. It had forced her friends to open their eyes, break their old habits, and learn how to be more considerate of everyone's boundaries. As they walked out into the cool evening air, laughing and joking just like old times, Maya realized something beautiful. Real friendship isn't about matching each other's bank accounts, it's about matching each other's respect and understanding. That dinner was a major turning point for Maya and her friends. It proved that true friendship can survive uncomfortable truths if people are willing to listen and change. Maya learned that speaking up about her budget didn't push her friends away. It actually brought them closer by building real honesty. And from that night on, nobody in the group ever had to secretly panic over a shared bill again. And that brings us to the end of our story. I love this story because it shows that setting boundaries with your friends can be scary, but it is always worth it in the end. Now, let's look at a few great English expressions we learned today. We heard the idiom, the straw that broke the camel's back, which means the final small problem that makes someone lose their patience completely. We also practiced walking on eggshells, which describes being extremely cautious so you don't upset someone. And finally, a blessing in disguise is something that seems bad at first, but results in a very good outcome later. You can find all the vocabulary of the story down below in the description box. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to split the bill evenly, even though you barely ordered anything? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep practicing your English listening with real-life stories, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next story. Goodbye.